Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Adam Claybon, and this is Weather Out West. And for those of you who have been with us before, of course, you know what this is about. But for those of you who are new, this is our hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western U.S. And you'll find coverage from the Pacific Northwest to the Mountain West and also across California and Arizona, as well as into parts of the Southwest. And well, today it is October 1st, and for many of us, it is the first day of the water year. And in Sacramento, well, we are expecting a weather impact alert day as we're tracking more showers across the Northern California area. And we're also going to recap what the past water year has been like there across the area, as well as some of the snowpack. Meteorologist Monica Woods has the details.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, tracking yet more showers in our forecast as we begin our new water year in California. So for the coast, the valley, the foothills, and the Sierra, more showers potentially in the forecast. Kind of the main low is going to be moving off to the east. A little weak feature, though, kind of carving out that storm track. And so we'll still be looking at the potential for instability as well as the lingering showers. So a tricky forecast for sure. Building a water year in California, rain usually starts up in October, November. 50% of our annual precipitation comes in just 3 months. December, January, and February. Our peak snowpack, meantime, hits in early April, and then we'll see that peak snowmelt when water becomes its highest demand. The monsoon season can also play an impact in July and August, and then we've got to deal with the heat, especially towards the end of summer and beginning of fall. And then we'll begin the whole thing over again. So how did this one play out? Well, we had that long duration atmospheric river in Northern California towards the end of November, then multiple weak atmospheric rivers. Of course, we remember the Los Angeles fires in Southern California. Multiple weak atmospheric rivers then hit during the end of winter, beginning of spring, but we managed to make it to 97% of our average snowpack. Certainly a big help here. Some minor showers in the summer season and a couple of decaying tropical systems as well. The California water conveyance system, a complex one. We've got dams, reservoirs, pumping stations, as well as the aqueduct, taking the wetter precipitation up north and moving it down south to the drier part of the state. So all of this is really important information, especially as we head into the drier part of the year and get ready for the wetter part of the year. As I mentioned, things were looking pretty good throughout the state. Snowpack giving us about 96 to 97% of average. As of April 1st, it was 96, but we got a little weather system moving through that bumped it up just one more percentage towards the end of April. So our major reservoir supplies still above average for almost every location. This is really great news heading into this new water year. Lake Shasta, our biggest reservoir, slightly above average, and then also Lake Oroville, slightly above average as well. All of this, again, feeding us with the much needed rain through the dry season. We're just on the precipice of starting up our bigger part of our water year, which will head our way December, January, and February. Now, we've got a little taste of some of that precipitation coming through, but again, these early weather systems tend not to be very well organized, and that's pretty much how this is playing out, with the potential for more scattered showers all the way into our Friday forecast. So we're still watching the possibility of some accumulating rain, particularly through the central and southern part of the Sierra. About a half an inch or so of precipitation potentially by the time we're wrapping up the work week and into the weekend. Wednesday's forecast highs near 60 up top for the Sierra. Will be in the 60s to lower 70s throughout the foothills. We'll see that play out through the central Sierra as well. Might even get another light dusting of snow. We saw some at Mammoth on Tuesday. Wednesday's temperatures will be in the 60s and 70s along the central coast. 80s inland, Bay Area forecast in the 60s and 70s with pretty much uniform temperature pattern here. We're in the 60s and 70s from the coast through the valley. As you'll remember, in the summer months, we're usually much cooler on the coast, and then we get deep into the 100s for the valley. But when we see these weather systems pass on through, we see 60s and 70s along the coast and pretty much the same throughout the valley. So again, our extended forecast, we're going to keep it on the cooler side for Wednesday. Chance of showers lingering, highs in the low 70s for the valley. And then for Thursday and Friday, we'll see a couple of lingering showers in there with some cooler than average temperatures. But a great looking fall weekend on tap, sunshine and highs in the 80s for the valley.
Always great news when we can talk about above average water levels for those reservoirs there in California, as well as seeing more rain in the early part of now the water year for Northern California. At least Southern California, there is a bit of a different story. Down around San Diego, things are going to stay slightly warm but become more fall-like as we get closer to the weekend. And just like what we said, today is the official start of the new water year down in San Diego as well. So we're going to recap that for you coming up in your forecast right now with meteorologist Vanessa Pons.
Happy Wednesday, CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz here. Happy October 1st from San Diego, California. As we take a look at our weather headlines, we are looking at warm conditions for a couple of days to kick off the new month, and then looking ahead to the first week in October, things are going to simmer down a bit in terms of temperatures. All right, so here are the weather headlines. Subtle warming now through Thursday. This is great relief for us here in San Diegans because it felt like majority of September was just really warm and extremely humid because of that push of monsoonal moisture and subtropical moisture from those hurricanes that developed well to our south. We will continue to see high surf, unusually high surf, and some strong rip currents lingering across our beaches. And looking ahead to the first weekend of October, as I mentioned, we are looking forward to fall-like conditions. All right, if you haven't heard, October 1st is the start of our water year. It ends end of September. Here are the water year totals, basically a report card of where we are in terms of the crude saturation. We are seeing plenty of deficits across our reporting stations, anywhere between about close to 5 to nearly 6 inches. So we did pretty terrible when it came to last year's water year versus the year prior. And of course, the year prior, we were on par, well above that because of the historic floods that some cities endured. Taking a look at today's highs versus where we should be, or that was actually yesterday's highs versus where we should be on average. As we take a look at our satellite and radar composite, kind of put this forecast radar into play, we will have a push of some clouds continuing to hover along the coastal areas, the immediate coast, from Oceanside all the way to Chula Vista. But notice how we'll see plenty of sunshine to go around later on this afternoon for interior parts of the county. As we take a look ahead to Thursday, we'll see a lot less clouds in the mix to kick off Thursday morning. We'll have much better clearing, all due to the return of offshore flow. So we have that ridge of high pressure that's kind of bringing in those winds out of the east, blowing towards the west, and that allows for clearing of that marine layer pretty quick. We will have a return of onshore flow though, so this ridge of high pressure is the reason why things are going to warm up come Wednesday and Thursday. And then looking forward to Friday into the first weekend of October, we'll have a cutoff low from the jet stream, and that will bring cooling temperatures back below seasonal, anywhere between 10 to 15 degrees or so. As we take a look at highs for your Thursday, we are going to top out in the mid to low 70s. A lot of these numbers showcased on the map here are cooler than where we should be for this time of the year. I'm forecasting mid 70s tomorrow afternoon for spots like Oceanside, low 70s from Carlsbad all the way to downtown San Diego. Those neighborhoods that hug the 15 corridor will top out in the low 80s. That includes Valley Center, Escondido, Ramona, as well as Alpine. 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon for Alpine, 77 in Julian, and near 100 degrees for Borrego Springs. Here's what we can expect over the next 7 days across the coast and inland communities. We'll top out in the mid to low 70s. Subtle daily changes when it comes to our coastal neighborhoods. Tomorrow is looking like the warmest day of the next 7, and then temperatures start to plummet come this weekend, not only for the coastal areas, but for interior parts of the county as well. Tomorrow, as well as the middle of next week, will be the only days where we sit in the 80s, but majority of us will struggle to get out of the 70s. When we talk about 80s, we're usually talking about those warmer neighborhoods that include Santee, as well as Ramona, Escondido, but we'll likely be in the high 70s for the most part when it comes to tomorrow, wrapping up the work week heading into the weekend. Here's a quick look at your mountain and desert areas. Note that the overnight lows are going to be rather cool. If you're camping this weekend, let's say in the mountain areas, make sure that you're layering up because despite seeing 70s during the day, temperatures will plummet into the 40s.
All right, so it looks like it's going to stay down that way as far as the dry conditions there in Southern California. While up across more of the Pacific Northwest, rain has been more to stay. And we've been seeing some of that rain down into Northern California. We were just talking about in Sacramento. Same system, bringing rain for areas such as Seattle and Portland. And we'll get into those forecasts after this. Well, welcome back, everyone. So here we are in October, and October's kind of coming in with a bit of a blast up this way across the Pacific Northwest, meaning Seattle, rain and wind. And that's typically what we see during the fall months. So it looks like more rain is on the way for that forecast here today across Seattle. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to talk about some of the winds dying down eventually as we go later on into the end of the work week. The weekend looks to be much drier too. Here's your forecast with meteorologist Rich Marriott.
Well, a beautiful day headed our way around western Washington. If you like the rain, we're going to be looking for showers off and on, but kind of mixed with some sunshine as well. And after the long, dry summer, you may be welcoming that rain around here. It moved in for the afternoon commute. Unfortunately, yesterday kind of messed that up. And then this morning, our first band of showers moving through kind of settled in for most of the commute over the I-5 corridor. But you can see now at mid-morning, that's starting to move on to the east. And we do have them lined up offshore, though. We've got the one that just moves east of us. We've got another one that's just moving through the Olympic Peninsula, and still another one farther out here in the Pacific. And we're going to be looking for these to move fairly slowly, simply because they're attached to a low that's going to be moving slowly towards the coast, and these are kind of spinning up out of it. So usually these systems move through a lot more quickly if it's just a front moving through, but this is going to be a slower process, which means once it starts to rain, it may rain for a while. Just a heads up, though, if you are heading out and it's sunny, take your rain gear with you, because it could be raining pretty quickly after that. And the reverse is true too. Don't forget to take the sunglasses just because it's raining, because likely you'll see some sun glare at some point, maybe off of wet roads. But check out here, we have seen quite a bit of lightning activity in this band. We saw it in this band when it was still off the coast. And they do tend to dampen out the lightning and thunder and lightning as those move inland. And we do have a slight chance of seeing a thunderstorm in Puget Sound, but only a slight chance at this point. And we could see some fairly heavy showers, though, moving through over the course of the day today. This one was pretty heavy. We had moderate to heavy rainfall really from Olympia up through about Everett. It seemed to miss the northwest interior, with only some lighter showers up there. So that's lucky for them, and we'll be looking for more to be moving in as we head towards a little bit later on this morning. See, the sunshine's broken out there in Bellingham. Also seeing the camera rocking around. We do have gusty winds today, gusting about 20 to 30 miles per hour, primarily Everett northward on a pretty regular basis, occasionally south of there, but most of the wind is going to be up to the north and near the water today, as it usually is. Seeing things beginning to clear out a little bit there. The Columbia Tower Cam in Seattle, some hope of seeing some sunshine. It has broken out nicely there in Tacoma right now. They're in pretty good shape. You can see that sun glare from the wet roads. Checking the wind gusts in the last couple of hours, you can see mostly in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. Not seeing much change there, and most of those focused up to the north of Everett this morning, and that should continue through the day today. Our first alert 7-day forecast, pretty much a repeat tomorrow, though I think tomorrow we'll see less in terms of the wind, and the showers will start to wind down as we head towards the afternoon. And then we do see drying as we head towards the weekend, and finally as we head into next week, some sun returns. We might touch 70 as we head towards the middle part of the week. Satellite image shows up actually a really nice looking low out there. You can see the clouds spinning counterclockwise around it. That's slowly drifting towards us, and in the process it's also rotating these showers in over us, and that's what's going to be giving us the shower action during the day today. As we head towards later tomorrow, that low is going to weaken as it approaches the coast. It's going to kind of drop south of us. We'll see high pressure begin to build in as we head towards Friday, and it looks like the trend is going to be towards more sunshine for Friday and Saturday. But at the moment, the computer models are showing some very weak systems moving over the top of that and just brushing by us as they move down into the southeast of us. So still a slight chance of a shower possibly on both Friday and Saturday, but just a slight chance, and hopefully those will go away before we get into our sports heavy weekend around Puget Sound. Taking a look out at our forecast then, and the extended forecast, showers and breezy today, about the same tomorrow, but probably fewer showers and not quite as windy. Temperatures both days in the mid-60s, partly sunny with a slight chance of a shower both Friday and Saturday, highs mid-60s. And then as we head towards Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, looking pretty good. We're going to be looking for sunshine and temperatures as we head towards the middle part of that first full week of October, pushing 70 degrees. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Even though the fall weather is around, at least for the next few days, it looks like things might start to warm up and clear out just a bit more late this weekend and into next work week, at least in Seattle. And I think the same can be said for Portland, just a little south along I-5. And this system bringing rain down there too, but as a matter of fact, just as you would expect, could even see a few areas of dusting on top of some of the high tops of the mountains. Meteorologist Rod Hill has the latest.
It is a rainy start to the brand new month of October here in Portland. I'm Rod Hill. Hope you're doing well. One of the stories we've been watching is that for the first time yesterday, some of our mountains had a little bit of brand new white. We're talking about dustings of snow, absolutely normal for this time of the year, but it's always a talker when you go, hey, 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 for the first time, and you start seeing a little bit of snow. So Bachelor in Central Oregon reported some snow. This is Mount Hood, and this was literally a dusting of snow down to about 7,000 feet. Historic Timberline Lodge sets at 6,000 feet, and with showers likely today, we'll see similar snow levels above the lodge, 6,500, 7,000 feet. Past temperatures where folks will be traveling today on the roadways, 50 degrees, rain showers. So just a fun talker and kind of a passage of time as we are now into October. All right. Right up here off of Vancouver Island is the low spinning. You vividly see it on the satellite picture. That's basically the engine of our shower making today. So we had a band of rain earlier this morning. Then we had a couple hours of dry time in downtown Portland. Now we're seeing a second band come through, and we will see just these occasional pushes of rain on this Wednesday. We've had lightning detected offshore at times along the coast or near the coast. There could be some lightning over in eastern Oregon this afternoon. It's been mainly a dry morning east of the Cascades. I think for Portland, as we look at Futurecast, at least a chance of a rumble of thunder, but overall, I believe we're just going to see rain at times today and heavier rain rates at times. It could be some noticeable breezes picking up from the southwest. This is Futurecast. This is this morning. You can see one band of rain kind of taking its time to go through. Here we are later this afternoon at 4 o'clock. This evening, this opens up kind of a dry window. Not much rain around tomorrow morning. Here's some showers picking up tomorrow afternoon and that red color near Salem. I mean, you wouldn't assume that the model would get this exactly right. It might, but it illuminates that there could still be some spotty downpours out there for your Thursday. Overall, we're expecting like this much rain or number of showers today in the Portland-Salem area and more like that many tomorrow. So wetter today, drier tomorrow. And then the forecast goes completely dry on Friday, and that takes us into a really nice weekend. Our cameras all show cloudiness, of course. Here's Chinook Winds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. It was the north coast up around Astoria where we've had 1-inch rain reports over the past couple of days. Here's the Timberline this morning. It's just wet there. Temperatures have been in the 30s this morning, but the snow level is again 6,500 to 7,000 feet above the lodge. And some water droplets on the lens from our state capitol building. And there's our downtown Rose City camera looking at the Moda Center and the cloud cover. Moda Center is where the Portland Trail Blazers play basketball. And soon our Portland Fire, our new WNBA team, by the way. All right, coast forecast for today. That chance of some thunder around. Mainly it's just going to be numerous showers. Southwest winds, it could be gusting up into the 30s at times. Valley, numerous showers. Heavy rain rate from time to time. Southwest winds 5 to 25 and temperatures in the 60s. So by the time we get rolling into the afternoon hours, we do expect a scattered shower threat statewide. And notice away from the coast, Salem 63 at 5 p.m., Madras 64, Baker City 62. So everybody basically looking at a similar temperature in the 60s. I have Portland at 66 for high. Fewer showers, 67 tomorrow. We'll open up more sun breaks tomorrow than we'll have today as well. Friday's dry, partly cloudy 67, the nice first weekend of October. Saturday, partly cloudy 68, and it still looks like we pick up an east wind, which would likely give us a run of absolutely clear sky days on Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, and we'll see our high temperatures bounce back up into the 70s.
All right, you're beginning to see a trend right here, right? You're noticing that a lot of areas farther north here across the west are dealing with this system, and they're getting hit by some of this fall-like wet weather. Now, how far east does it head? Does it head farther enough inland where we're talking about Spokane and Boise, maybe getting impacted with some showers? Well, we'll have the details for you coming up right after this. All right, so welcome back, everyone. That system that we've been talking about here for the past few minutes, that's spinning just off of the British Columbia coast. Well, it continues to spin more and more moisture across a lot of the northwest. And some of it, at least some of it, is getting farther east across the state and heading into Idaho. But first, we're going to talk about Spokane and talk about how spotty those chances of showers will be here as we go throughout the day, and also kind of take a look at the reason why things are not nearly as wet as what we're noticing off towards the west, closer to the coast. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick with the details.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. Another interesting day where we've had some cloud cover and rainfall, but the sun is trying to make an appearance all at the same time. So we're staying on top of things in eastern Washington and North Idaho. This out at Silver Mountain in North Idaho, just north of Wallace and Kellogg. Decent amount of cloud cover over those mountains, but I have noticed a few spots of sunshine at our studios in Spokane. We'll call it on and off showers. I'm going to admit it's more off during the day, maybe more on when we get into the evening. Aside from that, temperatures stay cool and seasonal, and we'll even have a chance for frost come next week. More on that in a moment. Then we start with the overall arching weather picture because I'm just so impressed by the view from our weather satellites of this huge low pressure area swirling in and around itself. Didn't even have to plot the low pressure center because it almost looks like the eye of the storm. But the details of this storm is that the colder air is wrapping in around itself. This is how we would analyze it. With a huge occluded front, that means it's cold air on one side and cold air on the other side. So it kind of has that half and half warm front, cold front feel, or the purple shades. And as it loops and rotates around itself, it does choke itself off from its energy center. So where the range should be in eastern Washington, it's so far removed by multiple layers of colder air that it just reduces the amount of total energy that's even available in the first place. All that to say that our showers have been extremely spotty through the morning here. It's been cloudy, but we haven't had a ton of rain or energy to work with. So the trend into the daytime hours for eastern Washington is honestly pretty dry. We might catch a spotty shower off of that cloud cover, which will be present, but it doesn't look like any reasonable rain is in the region until we get to almost 6 o'clock tonight. From 6 to about 9 or 10 o'clock, there we go with a few spotty showers, scattered showers in our region, but still not widespread. It's not that powerful storm system that we saw earlier in the week, but scattered showers nonetheless. Our modeling even keeps the rainfall in the region through Thursday morning, though again, didn't materialize this morning because of the occluded nature of that storm center. So rain chances for Thursday. But if we're going to get rainfall, it's going to be tonight and Thursday morning, that's for sure. Again, to the big picture here, big trough in the jet stream keeping us cool for now. But if we want it colder at night, it's got to get clear. Come next week, there's our clear skies. And while it looks like a big ridging shape, it's the direction of the winds from the north and east. That can often be a very cool wind through the fall and winter months. That will be enough to likely give us some frost in the morning hours, meaning low temperatures in the 30s and close to 32 degrees, which is somewhere we have been nowhere close to so far this fall. In the meantime, today, we're basically right on average in Spokane with a high temperature of 66 degrees, so mid-60s between the cloudy skies, but not too rainy outside, as you just saw. Nice change of pace compared to the blisteringly hot September that we had, and I'm not exaggerating that either. It was 99 degrees on the first and second day of the month, which was almost 20 degrees above average. This is our hottest September on record. By the way, 3 of the last 4 Septembers are in the top 5 hottest Septembers all time. Here are those records. We averaged 68 degrees. The average high temperature was almost 81 for 30 days for the month. That is incredible. So here's a quick peek at the 7-day forecast in Spokane as temperatures stay in the 60s all the way.
Yeah, October definitely starting off on a cooler and a bit of a wetter note there in Spokane. Now, just a bit more inland and a little farther south too across Boise. We've been seeing some rain kind of here and there, and as meteorologist Thomas Patrick was talking about, it has been drier there as you go farther to the east, and it still continues to be the case as you get into Boise as well, but looks like we're still going to expect a chance of rain here as we head on into maybe the end of the work week at some point. Hector Mendoza has the latest.
Hello, I'm Hector Mendoza forecasting out of here in Boise, Idaho, and we had plenty of storm photos that we got posted on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. And this is just one here out in Boise. As you can see those lenticular clouds there with a lot more of those cumulus clouds there up above. And you can see those stormy conditions there off into the distance. Thank you so much, Jesse, for posting this on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. And then looking into the Magic Valley, as we also saw lots of those clouds. And again, just huge plumes of clouds that we saw, bringing in some of those moisture and some of those shower chances that we saw from yesterday. So as we wrapped up the month of September, we did see a significant amount of precipitation the past couple of days to end the month of September, and we got almost double of what we'd normally get there for the month. As we look at some of the coolest temperatures, we got to about 48 degrees back on the 27th, and then to begin the month of September, we hit 101, so hitting triple digits. But since then, we've seen those temperatures cool off, and we haven't seen those temperatures, at least here in Boise, get into those 90s. And again, we saw most of that significant rainfall come along there on the 29th, as we saw there a couple of days ago, getting over 6/10 of an inch, breaking the previous record just below 6/10 of an inch there, which was set back in 1927. And again, well above the normal average that we get throughout the entire month, as before then we had just about 1/10 of an inch as we continued on here for the month of September. But as we look at the total from last month, that's what we normally get around on average. So we get just a little under what we got there for September. And we're going to start to see that these temperatures are going to start to really cool off as we start off with some of the average high temperatures into the low 70s. We continue on into those upper 50s, and we'll continue to see low temperatures cool off from the upper 40s down into the upper 30s as we look on ahead at some of those average low temperatures. So as we look on ahead, we are going to continue with some of the storms there that we saw from September continuing on here to open up October. We're going to see some of that sunshine return and see drier conditions there, but much cooler, as we are expecting sweater weather to stick around. But are we going to see that for a while here? So as we look on ahead here for today, we are going to see that temperatures continue into those low 70s. We are going to continue to see those clouds come and go. But what we're expecting today is much drier conditions from what we saw to start off the week. And as we look on ahead here at our future cast, we are going to notice a little bit more of that activity that will continue as we head on closer into Thursday, as we see a system and a cold front that comes through. So as we look on ahead, we could see some of those showers come along for portions of the mountains as we look on ahead here through our afternoon and evening. But it's not until Thursday morning that we start to see a chance in places in the central mountains and heading closer into the Magic Valley as we see a little bit more of that precipitation start to pick up. We see a band of precipitation that will continue there through Thursday afternoon. Now, it just depends on where that gets positioned there, as it could go up further west or further east. And that'll start to change some of the totals that we are expecting to see and could start to affect other areas. But for now, we are expecting the Boise area, Mountain Home, and Nampa all the way up into the Central Mountains through Stanley, Fairfield, and even portions of Haley to see most of those showers there as we continue on through the afternoon on Thursday. Then overnight, we're expecting another surge of precipitation coming along and seeing a little bit more of that as we get through Friday morning. So that could impact the Friday morning commute. There is a chance that we could see cold enough temperatures where we see a light dusting of snow in some spots. But again, for the most part, it looks like rain is what's going to be the predominant precipitation there in portions of the mountains. So as we look on ahead here at our 7-day forecast, not just cooling off here for today, but we're going to continue that cooling trend all the way towards the end of the week. Shower chances continue on into Friday with breezier conditions. Drier there for Saturday, but still those winds continue. And then we're going to see a lot more of that sunshine start to pick up and see those temperatures climb up into the upper 60s as we head on into Tuesday.
Looks like so many of our areas here across the West are getting some rain here early into the season. Now, next up, Phoenix and Denver. We're going to talk about the forecast for those areas, and also the Seattle Center wants to cut down on what's left behind at festivals and events. Later on, the products rolling out to reduce waste and if they're working when we get back. All right, welcome back, everyone. So things a lot quieter across the desert Southwest. In Phoenix, well, temperatures might still be a bit above average here as we head into the first few days, at least, of October. But with things being quiet, we have clear skies, and that means for any of you who are stargazers, we got some pretty neat scenes and sights that could be working its way across the skies. Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with the details.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. A look at your weather out west across Arizona on this first day of October. And you know what? I want to start with a little bit of news that is out of this world. Maybe you've heard about this. Yes, there is a comet that, according to a Harvard astrophysicist, it could be, get this, alien technology. All right, here's a close-up view of it. Here's a more distant view of it. And I guess the big issue is it's a lot bigger than they originally thought. Now, it is out of our solar system, but right now they're guesstimating that this comet weighs a whopping 33 billion tons and is approximately 3.1 miles across. So because of that, because it's much bigger and because it's emitting some gases and light that they believe isn't quite so natural seeming, that, yeah, it could be alien technology. I read the entire discussion from this Harvard expert, and he says, you know, his gut is telling him, no, it's probably natural causes, but just because it has some weird behaviors, they want to get a closer look, which they think they'll be able to do at the end of this week. So how close is it? Well, it is going to be closest to Mars's orbit, which is about 1.67 million miles outside of Mars's orbit by the end of this week. But again, they just want to get a closer look so they can see what is going on. Meantime, across Arizona on this Wednesday, we are looking for temperatures that are slightly above the normal range. Not so much wind in the higher elevations, but as you can see, abundant sunshine. Yeah, you know what? We're earning our title today. Valley of the Sun here in Phoenix, as highs push up to about 97 today. 95 in Quartzsite. I've got 98 in Parker, 70 in Flagstaff, 73 at the Grand Canyon, 76 in Show Low, 87 in Globe, and about 96 in Tucson. So yesterday we had a little bit of wind in the higher elevations. As you can see, Kingman, you're going to get winds maybe closing in on 15 miles an hour. But then all this wind is going to relax as high pressure moves to the north. And then we're starting to see a little bit of a change up toward the end of the week. Unfortunately, it's not going to have a big impact on our temperatures until the weekend. But we'll start to feel these winds generating as an area of low pressure pushes through, bringing in, yes, an opportunity for some rain, even snow to the higher elevations in the Sierras. So high pressure in charge, but then high pressure is going to gradually start moving out. And you can see these lines right here. Those are different pressure gradients. So they're going to get a little tighter. That's why we're seeing some wind. But as far as rain, doesn't look like we've got any opportunities. Now, in the tropics, we do have a tropical wave that has an 80% chance of developing into some sort of tropical system in about the next week. While that, again, doesn't have an impact on our temperatures, on the long-range forecast model, we have an opportunity to start seeing some rain in our region. Again, this is 6 to 10 days out. So I'm putting this out there simply because, yes, our numbers are going to be warming up. I know it's October, and I'm talking about a little bit of a warm-up that should be bringing back the triple digits. Unfortunately, we've got bright and sunny conditions today. This time of the year, 95 is normal range. So again, slightly above that. Thankfully, even if we hit those low 100s, we're not talking about record heat, and we still have really nice conditions overnight as we drop down to about 74 degrees. But here we go. Yep, some triple digits are back on the board. Remember, those records are closer to the 113 zone. So even though we're elevated and we're going to feel it in the higher elevations, here comes that wind I was talking about on Friday, and that is going to start bringing down the mercury back into the 60s for higher elevations. And after we dip ever so quickly into the 100s on Thursday, we should be coming right back down with overnights in the 60s starting on Saturday.
So maybe you can see in the comet. You might need a telescope, though, a really strong one at that. All right, let's head farther north and east to Denver, where it looks like things are going to be staying quiet there, and maybe some rain on the way as we get closer to the weekend. But with the quiet conditions, if you're able to get out and just get out into the scenes and into the nature and see that fall foliage, that's going to be downright beautiful. Meteorologist Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle have the details.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Saban. And we enjoyed a beautiful September. We had showers and storms that looked very much like a springtime week with really some interesting thunderstorms that produced multiple rainbows. We had a lot of beautiful viewer pictures coming in. And now it's all about the changing leaves in the high country. The fall foliage may be past peak for many areas, but we're still going to enjoy several more weeks with a lot of color up there. We don't really have any significant storms looming on the horizon to take down the leaves off the trees. As a matter of fact, after a brief break, high pressure is coming back over the area. Storm track is to the north. We sit in between two storm systems today. The storm that brought the showers, the storms, the rainbows, has now lifted northeast by Omaha and Kansas City. Next wave approaching from the west. But of course, we're watching the Atlantic because we have two hurricanes, Umberto and Imelda. Imelda, Bermuda's out with a hurricane warning, and Umberto just kind of sideswiped Bermuda. So active in the Atlantic, even without those storms making landfall on the East Coast. Impacts with heavy rain, high winds, and heavy surf. We're looking to the Pacific Northwest now for our next weather maker. Rain and snow from the Sierras up into the Pacific Northwest, but Colorado won't see a big impact from that approaching system until late Friday into Saturday. We'll have a clear start to the day, and then high clouds coming in the afternoon. Not much moisture for showers anywhere, so a good day in Denver and across the Continental Divide. We start in the 50s, warm to the upper 70s. An average high this time of year is 73, but we are going into the 80s for the second half of the week ahead of a cooler weekend change with a chance for a shower on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday as well.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle in Denver, Colorado. Today, as we kick off the month of October, we are talking warm, dry conditions. A mix of sun and clouds and a high of 80 degrees expected. Now, Denver's average high for October 1st, 72 degrees, well above normal today through the end of the week. The record for this day, the last 90-degree temperatures we saw in the month of October was set back in 1892. We're not talking records, but above average temperatures as a ridge of high pressure builds in across the region, keeping us warm and dry through the end of the week. But we are bracing for our next front set to roll in, really switching things up for the weekend. But we wrapped up the month of September officially as the wettest September we have seen out at Denver International Airport, the I-25 corridor, since 2014. Nearly a half of an inch more of rainfall we saw here for the metro area than what we typically do through the month of September. But we want to look ahead now to October. Now, here over the Denver area, typically on average, we have picked up 4.2 inches of snowfall as records have been kept from 1872 to present day. Average first snow in Denver, October 18th. No snow on the 7-day forecast, but looking back, the snowiest October that we ever saw was when we picked up 31.2 inches of snowfall back in 1969, which is not normal. Where we do see snow first, of course, are Colorado's high country towns. We could absolutely use some more precipitation off across the western slope and into our Rocky Mountains. It's a weak La Nina pattern that we're bracing for this winter, so we will, of course, be keeping our eyes to the sky, waiting for that snowfall, but we are expecting for our newest drought monitor to be released tomorrow. That'll hopefully get the Denver area out of drought after all the rain we saw through the month of September. Taking us through the rest of the week, it's going to be dry through Friday with our next chance for precipitation arriving this weekend.
All right, it looks like definitely need the rain at some point there in Denver, and at some point, yes, it looks like we'll get that from that system we've been talking about that's here across the Northwest. All right, so we're going to get into the details of the national picture when we get back and talk about what's ahead as we head on into the month of October. Plus, we're going to talk about the tropics event and just kind of give you a little bit of a detailed uplook on that after this. All right, thanks for joining us again. It is now time to talk about the national picture. Forecasts looking a bit different depending on where you are. We have some warmer spots across the country. We're going to talk about those temperatures and also have a look at the October outlook now that we're officially now in the month of October. Meteorologist Cheetah Craft has the latest.
Hey there, I'm meteorologist Cheetah Craft. Well, a big part of the country is actually fairly quiet, but we do have this front expected to intensify, and that's actually going to kick up the chance for some showers and thunderstorms as we continue for the rest of the week. Now take a look here across the country. Pick your spot on the map. Phoenix, still talking temperatures around 96. Denver at 80 degrees. Notice from Dallas-Fort Worth at 90. Houston around 91. Then heading closer into Minneapolis at 83. Washington, D.C. at 77 under partly cloudy skies. Not bad. Once you get into the southeast, 91 in New Orleans. Atlanta at 83. But again, big area right across the central part of the country waiting for some of those showers and thunderstorms, and that'll actually drop their temperatures as well. I'm going to take you region by region. So notice areas in the northeast from New York City at 71 under sunny skies. Beautiful. Philadelphia at 71 under sunny skies. As we get into Thursday afternoon, really, really nice. So over the next 24 hours, once some of that rain passes, that's when you'll start to see those temperatures drop behind it. From Jackson at 89, maybe the chance for some showers as that system pushes eastward. 91 in New Orleans. And then notice a big part of Florida. Not bad. Tampa at 89, Jacksonville at 82. Miami with the chance for some showers and thunderstorms, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Across the state of Texas, the week of dry weather continues. Notice overall temperatures in the mid to low 90s, Midland at 93, Oklahoma City 90 degrees, Kansas City 87 under partly cloudy skies. So high pressure has really been dominating across a big portion of Texas. Heading closer into the Great Lakes, Green Bay at 73, Chicago 77 under partly cloudy skies. Beautiful time of the year. Springfield, notice 86 for you, and then Garden City coming in at 87. Not bad, still pushing closer into 90 degrees. I'll take you west coast bound. So Vegas, of course, still dealing with temperatures at 90 under sunny skies. Similar there in Phoenix at 96. Denver splitting the difference at 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. And then a big part of California, actually starting to see some rain. We have an area of low pressure in the Pacific, and that is what's going to provide by the end of the week some heavy rain, not only for portions of Northern California, but check out the Northwest. This is that area of low pressure, and this is going to drive from west to east. It's going to be a pretty big rainmaker. So Portland, heads up, 67, Seattle 65, and you can see some stronger winds. Looking ahead to the extended timeline, a lot of you have been asking, what about October? October 9th through the 15th, it actually looks like we're going to warm up. Temperatures could be actually slightly above average even through mid-October. Now looking at the potential precipitation, so the rainfall outlook from October 7th through the 11th, notice more into the central part, more rain to come. For now, I'm meteorologist Cheetah Craft.
All right, let's take a little bit of a deeper look to as what the latest with our tropics. And right now with Imelda, as you can see, we are still at a Category 2 storm with winds of 100 miles per hour. Now that's heading away from the coast and should continue to produce some pretty nasty rip currents. So definitely if you have any family over that way, or if you're planning on heading over there here over the next couple of days, do be careful of that as that continues to work its way off towards the east. Also, you can see though, as we get deeper on into the forecast, we're expecting that system will continue to weaken. So we're going to go from a Category 2 hurricane eventually down to just a tropical depression. That's where you can see that area, that L showing up, that area of low pressure that will continue to work its way off to the east. And that'll take probably about another 24 hours before it's pretty much gone and off towards the east. It'll pass right by Bermuda yet again, so we could see some impacts there. And that's what you're also seeing too, what's left of Umberto right now, as that continues to also break down as it heads farther to the east. Overall though, things looking to be much quieter across the Atlantic as, not a whole lot really showing up behind that. That should be developing any time soon. All right, so millions of people gather at the Seattle Center every year for events, generating tons of garbage after the break. How that center is aiming to be the first zero-waste campus in the country. Seattle Center is taking a major swing at the mountain of waste generated by its festivals and events. It's aiming to be the first arts and cultural center in the nation to be a zero-waste campus. Seattle's Christian Balderas shows us how they are trying to make it happen.
Over 11 million people come here to the Seattle Center every year, generating thousands of pounds of garbage. But imagine if every cup, plate, and utensil was washed and reused. Seattle Center says that that's a goal that may be closer than you think. Monday morning, these guys are sorting through the trash.
No styrofoam.
All of this is just a fraction of the garbage.
Like 10-12%.
From this year's Italian festival at the Seattle Center, which drew about 20,000 people over 2 days.
Right here, we're doing an audit to understand what is happening in all three streams. The different material types, material category.
Are there non-recoverable plastic? Basically, they're checking to see how well event goers sorted their garbage into the right bins.
There's like scraps over here.
A simple but important step towards making the Seattle Center a zero-waste campus.
It really gives us information about all of the events that we host at Seattle Center.
Over the weekend, the Seattle Center partnered with Seattle Public Utilities to launch a pilot program at Festa Italiana, staffing sorting stations and introducing reusable dishware that replace more than 24,000 single-use items. If it works, those same plates, cups, and utensils could be used across all 300-plus Seattle Center events, including next year's FIFA World Cup celebrations, which are expected to draw over 750,000 visitors.
How do we kind of introduce this? How do we partner? How do we establish the infrastructure so that the costs become very comparable to the single use?
This is just one piece of Seattle's larger climate puzzle. The city has set an ambitious 10-year plan to be a carbon-neutral eco-district and become a national leader in sustainability. The Seattle Center hopes that with each reused cup, utensil, and plate, it's one step closer.
Little by little, with every event and every organization, we are going to make this a reality.
And this initiative is part of the city's bid for a $1 million Bloomberg Philanthropies Award. That money could be used to bolster this initiative. In Seattle, I'm Christian Balderas, King5 News.
Okay, everyone. So that does it for us here on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Adam Claybon. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.